2 minutes ago, something happened that will be talked about for decades. A video was played in the congressional hearing room. Not just any video, a leaked recording from the FBI's own internal security system. 47 minutes of footage that nobody, absolutely nobody, was supposed to see. And sitting there at the witness table, completely unaware of what was about to hit him, was Kash Patel. Watch this video until the end, because the moment that screen lit up and Patel saw himself, his own face, his own voice, saying things that should have stayed buried forever, everything changed. His expression, that confident mask he's worn for months, it shattered in real time. And if you're new here, subscribe right now and hit that bell icon. This story is moving fast, faster than anything I've covered, and you don't want to miss a single development. Let me take you back to this morning, 6:14 a.m. Eastern Time. An anonymous email lands in the inbox of 3 Washington Post reporters. Subject line, "The truth about Patel." No message, just an attachment, a video file, 47 minutes and 23 seconds long. The metadata embedded in that file pointed directly to the FBI's internal surveillance system, Building 935, 7th floor conference room, timestamp February 14th, 2025. The Post spent the next 4 hours doing something they don't do lightly. They verified every single frame. Voice analysis specialists compared the audio to dozens of Patel's public speeches, his congressional testimonies, his press conferences. Result? 99.7% match. They examined the background, every detail, the oval table, the specific arrangement of chairs, the painting on the wall behind the head of the table, even the coffee cups, the brand of water bottles on that table. Everything matched FBI headquarters, 7th floor executive conference room. The room where only the highest level meetings happen. The room where decisions that shape America are made behind closed doors. But here's what nobody expected: the content. What was actually said in that room. The words that came out of Patel's mouth. Words he never imagined the American public would hear. Words that were supposed to stay sealed, classified, buried under layers of national security protocols. Have you ever watched someone's entire world collapse in real time? That's what we're about to witness together. The House Intelligence Committee called an emergency session at 2 p.m. Patel was already in Washington for a routine budget hearing. He got the call at 1:47 p.m. Emergency session. Mandatory attendance. No details provided. His staff didn't know what it was about. His lawyers didn't know. Nobody knew except the committee chairman and 3 senior members who had watched the video an hour earlier. I talked to someone who was in the room when they watched it. They told me the silence after that video ended lasted almost a minute. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. One member, a Republican who had defended Patel for months, actually stood up and walked out without saying a word. Patel entered the hearing room at 2:11 p.m. I've watched the footage a dozen times now, analyzing every micro-expression, every gesture. He walked in with that stride, you know the one, confident, controlled, the walk of a man who's survived worse rooms than this. He nodded to a few committee members. One of his lawyers, sitting behind him, was checking her phone, completely relaxed. They had no idea. None of them had any idea what was coming. The committee chairman, Representative Michael Guest from Mississippi, opened the session. "Director Patel, thank you for joining us on short notice." Patel nodded, professional, calm. "We've called this emergency session because materials came into our possession this morning, materials that require immediate clarification." Patel's eyebrow raised slightly, just barely, but I caught it. First sign of uncertainty. Due to the sensitive nature of these materials and their source, we were unable to provide advance notice. Now Patel glanced at his lawyers. Quick look, maybe half a second, but you could see the question in his eyes. What materials? "Director Patel, we're going to play a video for you now, and then we're going to have some questions." The lights dimmed. The 2 massive screens on either side of the room flickered to life, and that's when everything changed. The image that appeared on those screens was slightly grainy, the kind of quality you get from a security camera, but clear enough. Crystal clear. A conference room, long oval table, 6 people sitting around it. And at the head of that table, in a dark suit, white shirt, no tie, was Kash Patel. I watched his face the moment he recognized himself on that screen. Have you ever seen someone realize, in an instant, that their entire career, maybe their entire life, is about to implode? His face went white, not pale, white. The color drained so fast it looked like someone had pulled a plug. His hand, which had been resting casually on the table, suddenly gripped the edge, knuckles white. His lawyer leaned forward, whispering something urgent, but Patel didn't respond. He couldn't. He was staring at that screen like a man watching his own execution. The date stamp in the corner of the video read February 14th, 2025. Exactly 18 days after Patel had been sworn in as FBI director. The audio kicked in, and the room, both the room on the screen and the congressional hearing room, filled with Patel's voice. All right, let's get to the point. We need to be absolutely clear about the Epstein files. Pause. You could hear someone shifting in their chair on the recording. These files cannot, under any circumstances, be released to the public. In the hearing room, you could have heard a pin drop. Every single person there, committee members, staffers, journalists in the gallery, everyone stopped breathing. Patel on the video continued speaking. If these files are opened, if they become public, a lot of very powerful people are going to have very serious problems. And some of those people, whether we like it or not, are people we need. People this administration needs. People this country needs in positions of power. Someone at the table in the video asked a question. The voice was male, but the camera angle didn't show his face. Are we talking about reclassification or… Patel cut him off. We're talking about permanent burial. There are clear instructions from the White House on this. The president himself has made it clear. These files need to disappear into the deepest vault we have and stay there for the next 50 years minimum. Now, I need to stop here for just a second because this is important. What you're hearing, what everyone in that hearing room heard, wasn't speculation. It wasn't hearsay. It wasn't some whistleblower's interpretation of events. This was Patel, in his own voice, with his own words, describing a direct order from the president to bury evidence. Do you understand the magnitude of that? The FBI director, the man charged with upholding the law, talking about hiding evidence on presidential orders. The video kept rolling. Another voice, this one female, spoke up. Director, what about the witness statements? We have 127 documented testimonies, some of them from victims who were minors at the time. Patel nodded. You could see him clearly now, leaning back in his chair, hands folded. Those are the most critical pieces to secure. Those statements, they name names. They provide dates, locations, specific incidents. If those ever reach Congress, if they ever reach the press, we're looking at a cascade effect that will take down people across government, across business, across media. He paused, took a sip of water. So here's what we do. We move them to a special access program classification. We stamp them with national security relevance, tie them to ongoing counterintelligence operations. Make it so classified that even congressional oversight committees can't touch them without triggering a presidential privilege fight. The male voice again. What if someone pushes back? What if Congress subpoenas? And here's where it got truly devastating. Patel smiled. On camera, you could see him actually smile. Then we do what we always do. We delay, we redact, we claim ongoing investigations. We've been playing this game for decades. Congress doesn't have the resources or the attention span to fight a sustained battle with the Bureau. They'll rage for a few weeks, hold some hearings, then move on to the next crisis. They always do. Back in the congressional hearing room, I watched committee members' faces. Some were stone-faced, jaws clenched. Others looked genuinely shocked, like they couldn't believe what they were hearing. One Democratic member from California had tears in her eyes, actual tears. And Patel, sitting at that witness table, Looked like he wanted the floor to open up and swallow him whole. The video continued. A third person at the table, another male voice, asked about digital forensics. What about the IT trail? These files have been accessed, copied, shared within the Bureau. There's going to be a digital footprint. Patel nodded. That's being handled. We have our best people scrubbing servers, auditing access logs. Anyone who's touched these files inappropriately is being identified. Some are being reassigned, some are being retired early, some are being handled through other channels. Other channels? The voice asked. Patel's face on screen remained perfectly calm. Need to know basis. What matters is the files stay contained. The meeting in the video shifted to logistics. They discussed storage protocols, classification levels, who would have access and under what circumstances. Patel was methodical, detailed, treating the burial of evidence like a normal operational procedure. At one point, he actually joked, "We're basically building a prison for documents, and these documents are serving a life sentence without parole." The people in the room on the video laughed, not nervous laughter, genuine amusement, like they were discussing something mundane, something routine, not the systematic cover-up of evidence related to one of the most notorious criminal cases in modern American history, not the protection of powerful men who allegedly exploited children. The video ran for another 20 minutes in the hearing room, every minute more damning than the last. Patel discussed contingency plans, what to do if journalists started asking questions, how to handle FOIA requests, strategies for discrediting anyone who tried to leak information. He even discussed, and I'm not making this up, planting false information to muddy the waters if real information started to emerge. Then, near the end of the video, the female voice asked one final question. "Director, what about the victims? Some of them are still alive. Some of them want justice." There was a pause. On the screen, Patel looked directly at the camera, like he was looking through time directly at everyone watching in that hearing room. Justice is a complicated concept. Sometimes the greater good requires difficult choices. Sometimes protecting the stability of American institutions means certain cases can't be pursued, no matter how sympathetic the victims. The video ended. The screens went black. The lights in the hearing room came back up, and for maybe 15 seconds, nobody said anything. 15 seconds of absolute, suffocating silence. Then, Chairman Guest leaned into his microphone. His voice was quiet, controlled, but you could hear the anger underneath. "Director Patel, you just watched yourself, in that video, discussing the systematic burial of evidence related to Jeffrey Epstein. You discussed presidential orders to hide documents. You laughed about manipulating Congress. You dismissed the pursuit of justice for victims." He paused, letting every word land. "I'm going to ask you a direct question, and I want to remind you that you are under oath. Is that you in the video?" Patel's lips moved. No sound came out. He tried again. His voice came out as barely a whisper. "I need to consult with my attorneys." One of his lawyers, the woman who had been so relaxed 30 minutes ago, stood up. Her hands were shaking as she held a legal pad. "Mr. Chairman, my client requests a brief recess to review the materials and prepare a response." "Request denied." Guest's voice was steel. "This is an emergency session, Ms. Rodriguez. Your client can consult with you right there at the table, but we're not stopping this hearing." The lawyer sat back down. She whispered frantically to Patel, but you could see from his face that whatever she was saying wasn't helping. How could it? There's no lawyer in the world who can explain away your own voice on video ordering a cover-up. Representative Adriana Sanchez from California took the microphone next. "Director Patel, in the video, you mentioned 127 witness statements. 3 months ago, when this committee asked about Epstein-related evidence, you testified under oath that the FBI had no such statements in its possession. Were you lying to Congress?" Silence. Patel's lawyer started to object, but Sanchez cut her off. "The question is directed at Director Patel. Director, did you lie to this committee under oath?" Patel's voice, when it finally came, was completely different from the confident tone on the video. "Representative Sanchez, I would need to review my previous testimony to ensure accuracy before. Before what? Sanchez's voice rose. Before you admit you committed perjury? Director, we have the transcript right here. October 15th, page 43. I asked you directly, does the FBI possess witness statements related to Jeffrey Epstein's activities? Your answer, and I quote, to the best of my knowledge, no such documents exist in FBI custody. Were you lying then, or are you lying now? The trap was perfect. Either he admitted the video was real and he'd perjured himself in October, or he claimed the video was fake and opened himself to a different set of problems. Patel sat there, trapped, unable to move in any direction without destroying himself. Another committee member, Representative Thomas Kellerman from Texas, and here's where it got truly stunning. A Republican, who had been one of Patel's strongest defenders, took his turn. Director Patel, I want you to know something. His voice was quiet, sad almost. I defended you. When Democrats called you unqualified, I defended you. When they said you couldn't be trusted, I said they were wrong. I stood up for you, in this committee, on television, to my constituents. He paused, and you could see the disappointment on his face. I can't do that anymore. After watching that video, hearing you laugh about manipulating Congress, hearing you dismiss victims, hearing you take orders from the White House to bury evidence, I can't defend you. I won't defend you. The room erupted, not with sound, but with movement. Journalists in the gallery were typing frantically on laptops and phones. Staffers were passing notes. Committee members were whispering to each other. And Patel just sat there, watching his entire world burn down around him. Chairman Guest restored order and laid out what happens next. Director Patel, this committee is voting this afternoon on whether to hold you in contempt of Congress for perjury. We're also referring this matter to the Department of Justice for criminal investigation. The evidence we've seen today suggests multiple federal crimes, including obstruction of justice, conspiracy to obstruct justice, perjury before Congress, and potentially violations of the Presidential Records Act. He looked directly at Patel. I'm also calling for your immediate resignation. You are unfit to lead the FBI. But here's what nobody saw coming. 1 hour after that hearing, something else happened. The Washington Post published the full video online, all 47 minutes. And within 20 minutes, it had been viewed 10 million times. Within an hour, 50 million. By evening, it was the #1 trending topic on every social media platform. Not just in America, globally. People weren't just watching it, they were analyzing every frame, every word, every expression. Legal experts started appearing on television. Constitutional law professors, former prosecutors, even former FBI officials. The consensus was stunning and unanimous. Multiple federal crimes, clear evidence, no wiggle room. One former federal prosecutor said, "In 30 years of practice, I've never seen such clear-cut evidence of obstruction. This isn't a he said, she said case. This is video evidence of the defendant describing his own crimes." Within the FBI itself, sources started leaking to the press. Agents who had been silenced, who had been reassigned or forced into early retirement for asking questions about the Epstein files. Stories started emerging about Patel's first weeks in office, about meetings where he'd ordered files moved, access restricted, investigations shut down. One agent, speaking anonymously, told reporters, "We all knew something was wrong, but we had no proof. Now we have proof." The White House went into crisis mode. The press secretary was bombarded with questions. Did the president order Patel to bury the files? Was the president aware of the cover-up? The answers were evasive, deflective, but the damage was done. Even if the president could somehow claim ignorance, Patel had said on video that there were clear instructions from the White House. Someone gave those instructions. By evening, 3 Democratic senators and 1 Republican senator had called for Patel's immediate arrest. Not just resignation, arrest. The ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee announced plans to subpoena everyone who was in that February meeting. We need to know who else was involved, who else knew, and how high this goes. And through all of this, Patel remained silent. His lawyers released a brief statement. Director Patel maintains his innocence and looks forward to addressing these allegations through proper legal channels. But that statement landed like a lead balloon. Innocence? The man was on video describing his crimes in detail. I keep coming back to that moment when the video first started playing, the look on Patel's face when he recognized himself on that screen. That instant when he realized someone had betrayed him, someone had leaked the one piece of evidence that could destroy him completely. Who was it? Who was in that room on February 14th? Who had access to FBI security footage? And why did they wait until now, almost a year later, to release it? Those questions matter because this isn't over. This video, devastating as it is just the beginning. Sources are saying there's more. More recordings, more meetings, more evidence of the systematic cover-up. The anonymous source who sent the video to the Washington Post sent a message with it. Just 3 words. This is one. One. Meaning there are others. Meaning this leak, this exposure, this destruction of Kash Patel's career and potentially his freedom is part of something larger. Someone inside the FBI, or inside the intelligence community, or inside the White House. Someone with access to classified information and the courage to release it has declared war. And their target isn't just Patel. It's everyone who was involved in burying those files. 2 minutes ago, a video was played in Congress. 2 minutes ago, Kash Patel's career ended. 2 minutes ago, the cover-up that had been carefully constructed over months began to collapse. And we're all watching it happen in real time. If you want to follow this story as it develops, and trust me, it's going to develop fast, subscribe to this channel right now and hit the bell icon. Share this video with everyone you know, because this is the kind of moment that changes history. This is the kind of exposure that brings down not just one man, but potentially an entire network of people who thought they were untouchable. The truth always comes out. Always. Sometimes it takes years. Sometimes it takes decades. But it comes out. Today, it came out on 2 massive screens in a congressional hearing room, and Kash Patel sat there, powerless, watching himself confess to crimes he thought would never be discovered. Career over. And possibly, just possibly, freedom over too.